Welcome to Faithart Design Studio. I'm Diane, and this is week 10 for the Full Deck Challenge 3 that was created and is managed by Shanuki Art. The prompt for week 10 was vintage and brown splatters. So you can take her prompts in a couple of different ways. I could go get something that is vintage, or I could get something that looks like it's vintage. So I've gathered some of my supplies here today, and the only real vintage thing that I have is a ledger that I bought, and it was from 1934. So I thought I could use this in there, and it would work. Now, I want to also share with you a little bit about my verse, because I have issued anyone doing the Full Deck Challenge, if you want to make it time to spend with God, pick some Bible verses. My Bible verses are 52 verses that I have identified that talk about and point me to being God-reliant. That is actually my word for 2025, that instead of relying on myself or, quote, man, which are others around me, to turn and rely on God. And so the verse for week 10 is actually Micah 7:5. And the verse says, "Put no trust in a neighbor, have no confidence in a friend, guard the doors of your mouth from her who lies in your arms." Okay, here's the trick, which I always tell everybody when you're doing Bible study. You need to read the verses before, the verses after. You need to see about, is this whole thought and down to one line, or is a whole thought block of verses that tell a thought? And so actually, Micah 5 to 7 is Micah 7 verses 5. Okay, they're really about a whole thing that Micah was talking about, is that he kind of realizes that he's in a place where he says, I'm just going to read some of the commentary from David Guzik that I looked up. Basically, it says, do not trust in a friend. Well, that sounds really bad. Like, aren't we supposed to have friends? But the point was, because of the rampant sin and selfishness that was around, what Micah was experiencing around him, personal relationships had kind of crumbled among God's people because it was all about themselves. Does this not ring a bell about today? So one could not trust in a friend or put confidence in a companion, and even blood relatives were at war with each other during this time of Micah. So basically, he's commenting, well, okay, I can't really trust anybody else, so I have to look to the Lord. My God will hear me, because in this sin-immersed culture, there were very few people to give confidence or compassion, so one could only look to the Lord. Again, I think, it's always amazing to me when God gives me verses, how it's so appropriate that Micah was a prophet, and prophets are hated in their own land. Nobody likes a prophet, because what's a prophet's job? A prophet's job is to go and tell everybody, you need to repent. No one wants to hear truth. They don't want to repent. So this was talking about that, but I look at today's society, and there is such a rampant beating up verbally and in social media of each other. It's very difficult to find anybody to trust. And so it turns me back to my word, God-reliant. Correct. It was a bad thing that everybody in Micah's time was sinning, right? Because we're supposed to be honorable. We're supposed to be trustworthy enough so that we can actually find confidence and compassion from others, and I should have that in me, right? But God used this and can use this as a good thing, because it's going to force me to put my trust in the only one who can never let me down, and that is the God of my salvation. So when I said about how to do a little faith version, that's how I've done that. I looked things up. And then I found some other information that said this verse was part of a lament. So that Micah 7 chapter you probably want to read through. It's about the corruption and depravity of the times. Again, I view that as right now. And it wasn't intended to discourage friendship, but it was to show how false and faithless people were. Again, is that not like right now? It's a warning to be careful who you confide in and to be wary of speaking ill of others. And most importantly, this verse was is a reminder for me to keep my eyes on God and to not rely on others. So that's just some really good stuff. And so let me get to work in here, right? So my constant is fabric. That's what I've decided to do throughout the entire year. So I pulled some little pieces of fabric, quote, brown or vintage looking. I don't know that this gold is going to work. It's brown, but I don't think it's going to work. And then this is a piece of Tim Holtz fabric that I bought last year. And of course, it's vintage because it's looking at, you know, old writing and old stamps. So I feel like I'm going to use let's use a piece of this. Let's just tear a little piece off and we'll play with that. But on my other ones, I've used a little bit more fabric, but I don't really have a lot of fabric for this one. So we're going to use that piece. I think I would use this piece. I think this will be a complement to that. So let's get a little piece of that. And I like to just rip all these cotton fabrics. Now I did go to Joann's hoping I could find some good fabric, but they only had one person cutting fabric. And there was like 12 people in line and she didn't seem to be real fast. So I stood there and went, there is no fabric in here that I just have to have. Because the fabrics that I am looking for are not regular fabrics. I like the Tim Holtz fabrics and they didn't have them at my Joann's. So, and then I pulled, this is actually an old copy of an old bingo and some old pieces of paper. And I liked this piece too. I like this old piece. Maybe what I'll do is put some of that on there. Now, I don't have to do the Be Free version. I can do the audition version, which is what I like to do better. So I like that. Now, see, now I'm not sure I really want that big blue stamp on it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not in the screen. I apologize. Let me get my hands back up here. Okay, that could work. That could work. Then we've got this little piece. So my constant is fabric, and one of the other, quote, rules is to try and keep the suit number out. So I picked up this old button, which might be too big for this. And then I found this piece that makes it 10, right? I thought, yeah, that might totally work. So let's see. I think what I'm gonna do, I like some stamps. I like this piece, but it's kind of got more numbers. So let's look at this this is from an old book. So this is kind of vintage. You can tell when the paper just kind of disintegrates in your hand. That's really old, which of course I love old paper. So maybe that goes on there too. Now the auditioning part ends up meaning that it takes me longer because I keep changing my mind. The version where she was talking about just make it, you know, actually that goes much faster. I don't want to rip up those pieces. Well, maybe we'll put this. There's another symbol right there. Okay, you know what? I'm not, this is going to take forever if I do it that way. So let's go to the gluing part. So I'll put some glue. And I'm sorry, I am having a real problem. I rearranged my entire studio and I brought another table in that I'm working on. And somehow the slightest movement on this table shakes my camera. And so you're getting camera shake. And I apologize. I'm going to have to get somebody to help me. Maybe put something underneath each of the legs of this table or something, because the table is much better. I have more space and I want to use that, but I don't like the camera shake. So I apologize. I'm aware of it. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. I am aware of it. So I will try to resolve that. First thing, I can't leave my elbows on the table when I'm doing stuff because that definitely shakes it. Okay. And I was thinking of that, but that's maybe too big. Maybe I just put it over there. Okay. And I did not get this out. Let's put a little bit of inking on it. So I was so excited. So many of you responded so well to this whole faith deck challenge. Oh, you listen to me, full deck challenge that, yeah, I'm turning it into a faith challenge. And I was really encouraged by the people said, oh, I never even thought about doing that. I think I'll join you. So I was really happy to get that kind of feedback, you know, that's like really cool. I try, you know, I did the Junk Journal January, Junk Journal July, and I did a faith challenge for that too. That yes, I did some fun stuff every day, but my whole goal was to make it a faith challenge. And I got a lot of people that agreed with that and thought that was a good thing to do too. So little by little, God is sending people to my channel, and I guess that what I'm hearing back is that they're encouraged and hadn't thought about, you know, being a faith artist. And I'm going to tell you, anybody can be a faith artist. All that means is anything you create, you're creating from a perspective of spending time in God's word in one way or the other, or adding faith to each piece that you do. And that's all it takes to be a faith artist. Let's edge that a little bit. I like that sticking off. I don't think I'm going to trim that part. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is add my brown splatter, and I am going to show you how I do it. I'm going to use my Distress spray stain, and I'm going to use brush corduroy. I'm going to open it up. Well, actually, little watch, you can do it this way too. See, all I have to do is take that off. I don't know why I'm so far out of camera today. Okay, see, I can just splatter it like that. That's what we're going to do. Look, I was going to get my fan brush out, but I don't need to do that. Is that enough? There we go. Now, the good thing about the spray stain is it dries quickly. And so I can progress. Well, I'm probably going to have to get my little heat gun out. So, hold on. It's over on the other side of my desk. This is why I added a bigger desk to my work area. Okay, now I can show you one thing I just realized. Using the spray stain probably wasn't a good idea. I mean, it worked. I'm not going to change it because it's water-based. When I used the ink the other day when I was doing splatters, that is, it's not going to be absorbed into anything. So that's what I'm seeing is that it's being absorbed. So kind of the splatters are somewhat disappearing. So there's another little lesson of when you want to do some kind of mixed media work. Sometimes you have to understand the properties of the supplies that you are using to make sure. But you know what? We've got our splatters on there, and that's okay. I could have used the oxide. The oxide would have been better. It would have definitely not been absorbed. So let's move that over there. Okay. Actually, it's coming together pretty good. Now I just need to figure out like what my focal point. That's too much the same color. Is this button too big? Yeah, it's too big. It's a great, actually, this is an antique button. This is from my grandmother. Who knows how old this thing is, and it's nice and beat up, too. Now that now that I'm looking at everything, I really probably should have picked up something dark because I have too much beige on there. What if we did, oh wait, what if we put this in through this loop? Now that's kind of cool. I have no idea where I got this button. Who knows? It was just in my stack of stuff. Somebody could have given it. Kind of works like a little buckle. Well, look how cool that is. Okay, now that I like. Yes, maybe we need a different stamp. Those are too beigey. What else do I have sitting here? Oh, I don't really have too much. And, you know, the last time I did some stamping, but I don't know that I would, I guess I could put something there. Okay, I am going to, let me grab my stamps. All my canceled stamps in my little bin, and see, I was picking the beige, and maybe the, oh, that's a cool one. I need a color instead. That's what I'm realizing. So these are from my girlfriend. Her mother, she must have done something where she was at all these, some of these are really antique stamps, but that's, see, Diane, you keep picking brown. Anyway, she has bags and bags, so she brought over some for me, which I'm so appreciative of because I've never collected stamps. And I would not have had any of these if it weren't for, you know, I like the red because it picks up the red in that writing. Let's see, is there any other fun stamp that we can find? And of course, this is boring when you're watching somebody do that. Okay, I'm going to say, we're just going to go with the red one because the greens are not the right green. So let's set that aside. So where would I put that, Diane? Do we want it down there? And that becomes that and a brown one so that we, you know, we're making little clusters. Maybe that's the better way to do it. So I'm definitely putting that down until I get my little clusters set up here. Do we want the number 10? Maybe I stick that on there. Even though that is a 10. Look how cool that is. You know, I kind of like that on there. I think that's kind of cool. Okay, so let me take this off. Let's put these stamps on there. Let's put that down. I think I have to adjust my camera because this is where it's sitting is so weird. It's just not working right. Okay, so we're going to put that on. So let me cut this. And I've got my glue gun on because that's the only way that would really work. And I think I am going to put the 10. I kind of like the 10 there. My glue gun is a big tip. It's not going to work to put this little 10 on. This is old Tim Holtz stuff. When I say old, yeah, how old is that? 10 years ago or more? Okay, so that will dry. So now let me just move it over to the side and grab my glue gun. And we will put glue on there. And I have to be so careful. This is a hot one. It's not a cool one. So I have to be careful because I burned my fingers last week. Boy, did I burn my fingers. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay, so I'm going to put my verse on the back. And then I decided to date them so that I know what day I actually made it, because I will be making them all year long. So what day is today? March. Oh yeah, what is today? 7th. Okay. March 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. March 7th. Let's see if that works. There we go. That's it. Okay, so we're going to put the glue on there. And then I'm going to make a tag. I'll just do that off camera. I'm going to make a tag with the leftovers. So what I've been doing, just in case you just found me, is, as I said, I've got the Adding Faith Challenge added to the Full Deck Challenge. And I had all this leftover stuff out, and one of my rules to myself is, if you're going to start collaging, make a bunch of stuff while you already have it out, because that's crazy to do all that and then put it all away. So I made tags in addition. And can I grab a tag in front of me? No, there's the size I was making. So I made a set of tags. Do I have the tags here? I might not have them. Yeah, here's my tags. So I made a tag for each one of the cards. So I have tags. And what I'm doing is I'm using these in all my other journals. So I'm adding faith, and how am I adding faith? Because the verses are right on the back. Okay, so I'm going to make a, I'm going to make a tag. So the end of the video here will show you what it looks like. It'll just be a picture, because I wanted to make sure that I shared what I learned from studying my verse, and just show you a little process of how I do collage. So that's my, I'm pretty happy with day 10. So I'll make the tag and then I'll come back. Here is my coordinating, matching, whatever you want to call it, tag that I made, which, yeah, that actually turned out kind of fun. And then I realized when I started to make it that I had said the only vintage thing that I had was this piece of vintage paper from 1934, and I didn't even put it on my card. So I put some on here, and I put the 1934 right on there. So I'm kind of happy with that, with the ribbon and things like that. And then I also went ahead and added my, yeah, I want to say grommet. What? Okay, just left my brain. Anyway, I have put mine on a ring. So I've got, this is the 10th one. And there we go. It goes right onto there. This is going to be a really fun challenge. As I said, there's my, my Bible verse for today was Micah 7:5. And it's just, again, another reminder, thank you, Father, that I would turn and rely on you. And I have to just share this with you. One of my really good friends, Timmy, who comes on Wednesdays for Bible study, she gave me this, and she said, I thought of you when I read it. So it said, this is out of a book, devotion book from Charles Swindoll. When we arrive at dilemmas in life and are unable to decipher the right direction to go, if we hope to maintain our joy in the process, we must, repeat, must allow the Lord to be our guide, our strength, our wisdom, our all. This is the part that she knew it was me. If you are the super responsible, I can handle it individual who tends to be intense and impatient, letting go and letting God take charge will be one of life's most incredible challenges. But I urge you to do it. Force yourself to trust another who is far more capable and intelligent and responsible than me. Our God forever and ever will guide us until death, from Psalm 48:14. Well, I have to be very transparent here. That is a description of who I've been my entire life. And I am a born-again Christian at the age of 42. I'm now 73. So I've been doing this for, more than 30 some years. And all my words that I've ever focused on, the verses that God speaks to me, are always about Diane, rely on me. Turn to me. Trust in me. Let go. Let me handle this for you. I love you far more than you could ever imagine. So I just thought that was perfect for me to sit there. I think I'm just going to put on my desk and read that for the next couple days. As always, I hope you will like this video. And of course, I would so appreciate if you share my channel, because then you are actually sharing the good news of God, because I share the good news of God in every video that I make. And I hope that you are subscribed. If you are a new subscriber, welcome to Faithart, and you too can become a faith artist. Till next time.